start by launching File from the plus menu, which loads after a few seconds. We bring in a cylinder, and we also give a file name for this model, Ericofon. And then we bring in two images, a front image, and we give it a height of 10. We see it there. And then a side image, and we give it again the same height. So as you see, these are positioned centered on the screen, which is very convenient for now. And now we will go and work with our little cylinder. I rotate and position the cylinder, and I bring it further down at the beginning of the handle of this phone. I try to give it a good initial placement. And then I pop out the top face of the cylinder, which comes off tangentially, and I push the other side at the end of this handle. As you see, while I do my push and pull and my modifications, the edges that come off of the face that I'm working on gradually adapt. They auto-smoothen, but that's fine, we'll take care of this after a while. And so I try to very roughly outline the shape to start with, but as I said, we'll go back to that and fix it a bit later. And then I do the same on the opposite side. I create an extrusion of the cylinder, and I add smoothness along the pairs of edges that come off on one side. And again, I try to capture very roughly the shape. And then again, one more pop out going down. In this case, I will pull it and significantly enlarge the diameter of this roughly circular extrusion, and keep tracing the shape of this phone. I add an extra vertex and I smoothen it so as to give the rounding that I want, and again smoothness on the rear side. As you see, sometimes when we apply a smoothness or we do some operation, the edges, as I said, they tend to auto-smoothen, become more straight, but we can go back and adjust them. Also the same in the opposite direction. Now, I don't really worry about the perfection right now, because I will go in later and add symmetries everywhere, as you will see. I noticed that I need to enlarge the diameter around this loop. We do a little bit of adjustment, and then we will also trace better the contour, and then we select pairs of edges and we do smoothen, so they're both smoothened together as one and the vertex moves in between. And then I keep going downwards. At this point there is a discontinuity in our shape, which is a little hard to capture. But in the end we approximate it pretty well, and then you can always go in and move the vertices individually. It doesn't need to always be a rigid move of a surface. And one last pop out going downwards to reach the end of the shape. Now, I don't really have a blueprint. I'm working off an image that is roughly orthogonal, so we'll do our best here. But it looks like we're okay on that side. Now a few fixes on the upper side of the shape. I do again some smoothen of 2 or 3 edges together to allow them to deform all together as one and capture an overall fair and smooth shape, as you see there. Now at this point I will add on the top one more edge across the top of this handle, just to give it a little more roundness. So I add 2 edges and then I smoothen them together, which is something I do very often, so that they become continuous. And then I will go into tangent editing mode there, and I will add a tangency between the edge and the face that is across from it, on both sides, as you see here. So this is an operation that makes our edges be tangent to faces. I will now add a symmetry to my entire model. So first I select a symmetry plane. I will now hide all the planes and in fact also the images to make it simpler to work. And then I select parts of my model and I hit the Add to Symmetry set. So I gradually add a few edges at a time. I could in fact add everything at the same time, but sometimes there's some mismatch and it can give you unexpected results. So I feel a little safer going step by step. And then in the end I just add everything else all at once. And so now I'm certain that my model is completely symmetric between the left and right side. I think that this is relatively okay. As you see, I use the locked rotation to lock only horizontally or vertically, and I will send this over to Onshape. So after a few moments, a new tab appears, and if I switch to it, I see my model translated into an Onshape Part Studio, as you see there. And in fact, I can go back to Phi and make some modifications. So for example, here I think that I didn't capture this shape correctly, so I'm just editing it a little bit. And once I'm happy, I can send this back to Onshape, as I will do now, by simply clicking the same button once again. And if I switch over to the Onshape tab, after a few moments, I will see, there you go, an automatic update of my design based on the changes I just did. And I can then go back to Phi, do some more work. For example, here I will do an extrusion to give some thickness to the top part of the phone, as you see, and then send it over to Onshape once again. And again, the update will appear in a few moments. And once I'm happy, I can continue with more downstream work, for example, adding fillets, as you see there, to my model, etc. So this is an example of how you can design with Phi and Onshape